Morning everyone, a great interview here. Larry King asking some tough questions, Priscilla Presley in the hot seat, and it's all about what kind of a husband was Elvis Presley. What a great question. Let's listen to Priscilla talking.
First, what kind of husband was Elvis?
He was wonderfully loving, caring.
So Priscilla says loving and caring. Yeah, we all know that Elvis had a heart of gold and could be a real gentleman and quite romantic and sentimental. Obviously he's super generous, but he definitely had a charm and a charisma and a really lovely way about him.
But he was also, he was also a victim of his own career.
So this is when the interview slightly turns. She's going to get more honest. Obviously it wasn't all great, and she's going to go on to tell us some inside details
Of his own love, which of course was music, and then going into film.
How so, victim meaning?
So quite an interesting reply to his question, because she uses the word victim. So victim of his own career. And I actually agree with this main point. And I say this for all famous people and rock stars and film stars. And that is, once you become that famous and you have the whole world in love with you and talking about you, you also have an image and trying to live up to that image. And I think people do things once they become famous that they probably were never gonna do in a normal life, just a normal life that we all live. But you throw people into the spotlight and you have all these opportunities and all these things that were never gonna come your way, and you start doing things that aren't actually who you truly are. You're sort of swept up by the fame.
Well, he grew up in it.
Even in those few words, he grew up in it. We all know Elvis's history. He, as a child, loved being around music and Beale Street, and just, it was part of him. It was in him. He couldn't stay away. And he surrounded himself with music. It was everything to him. And once he got that guitar from his mother instead of a bike, he was completely changed forever.
He was a product of the business, and that was his only way of life. He loved it.
So she says he was a product of the business. I'm not completely in agreement with that, but he had achieved a level of stardom around the world from his own actions, from his talent. Yes, there were many factors that got him to the point of fame and stardom. Obviously his natural talent, the way he looked was amazing. And yes, once he got into the business, he took it very seriously, and he obviously had lots of people around him, lots of people working for him. And yes, he was going to run that business like a steam train. And he was a true professional, and he gave it 100%. He was a very hardworking man. And once he'd hit that point in his life, of course, everything changed. Every single thing changed. And he was ready to rock and roll.
He traveled all over before he was even really discovered by Colonel Parker, and had venues that he would appear at.
He just loved touring. He loved going from town to town, right from a very young age, and just performing and doing his thing.
That made it difficult as a husband in what way? A lot of women around him, obviously.
So again, in this interview, Larry King changes the tone, and you can see where he's going with it. He's trying to find out how she felt about Elvis's unfaithfulness and the way he would meet other women and the attention he got from women, especially when he was on stage, and then all the women that just tried to hang around him.
All the time.
How'd you handle that?
How do you handle that? What a question, because Priscilla Presley is with Elvis Presley, and obviously the womanizing type behavior and the attention he got from women was happening way before they got married, before Lisa Marie, and then carried on happening after they got married. I know that people are very passionate about Priscilla Presley. You either love her or hate her. People have very strong opinions about Priscilla Presley. And I think she went through lots of different stages in her life. She went through the stage of being a loving, caring, was going to do anything for Elvis and literally lived for him. But then I think as the years went on, especially when Lisa Marie was born, that a new independence came through, and she started looking at her life and thinking, it needs to change. I want my own freedom. Elvis is never home. Elvis is unfaithful. I've had to put up with a lot. So I know that these opinions are so strong out there, because I know a lot of people think that Priscilla had had affairs, obviously the relationship with Mike Stone. So my thoughts on Priscilla are mixed. I feel sorry for her and what she went through with his unfaithfulness and always being away. But then I go through a different phase where I think, well, when he was misbehaving, could it have been saved? Could the marriage have been saved? Did she misbehave? Which I think may have happened. So, you know, it's a very, very complex, complicated question to ask Priscilla. And it really makes me think.
Very difficult.
Get ticked?
Yes.
Of course it was very difficult. Of course she was ticked. And she goes on to say, yes, it bothered her. So, as I said earlier, such a complicated situation that the whole world still talks about to this day. And I think they always will. And she'll always be loved or hated. And we all know now that everyone's very upset about what's happening with Riley Keough and Priscilla and the mini court case that they just had. So this will go on and on forever, but will always be super interesting. Thanks for watching.